Okay, Tom, this is a little tutorial I'll make for you um, for the programming of the 7th injector. So, um, let's see here. So what I got is, here is the 7th injector module. There's a plug on the end that I plugged the laptop into. And then also I have extra, these are the extra meth nozzles. So to change, I'll show you just how to change those real quick. So here's the nozzle on the supercharger. So what you do is first you disconnect this hose. To do that, this little round plastic piece, you have to push it in. I usually use like a wrench to kind of push it in, and then the hose will pull out while you're pushing that in. And then this should this black 90 degree, you should be able to spin out by hand, and then usually the nozzle goes with it. And then you just pull the nozzle out of here with a wrench. I usually put this in a vise, or you can actually hold it with a big adjustable wrench, and then you just put the new nozzle on the 90 degree junction here, spinning everything back on, and then just the hose you just plug in and give it a little bit of a tug and it's on. So that's how that works if you ever want to change that. And like I said, you can adjust when the 7th injector comes on, or I mean when the methanol, water meth comes on right here, and this is where you fill it. I usually distill it, I usually dilute it with distilled water, the methanol. You can try different strengths. You can go 50-50, 25-75. And it's usually easier to take the methanol. I got 2 cans in the back for you, in the cargo area strapped down. It's usually easier to dump one into like a jug, like a milk jug or something, and then from that pour it in here, because the 5-gallon jugs are kind of awkward to carry around and stuff. So okay, so back to programming the 7th injector. So you got to have the key on. You can have the engine running as well. You just can't reprogram it with the engine on. If you want to reprogram it, the vehicle has to be off with the key on. So I just wired this up the other day for you. I left you quite a bit of extra wire here, so you can put it in the glove box, or some people actually will screw it right to the side of the kick panel there. But I think it's just kind of easiest to keep it in the glove box, but you can do whatever you want with that. And there's a tube here. So it's not a wire, that's actually a tube. And it's rubber up to right about here, and it turns a hard plastic. So you want to be careful not to let this get pinched. I kind of put a little bit of a splint on here, a flexible splint, just out of what was left of a zip tie, to kind of help it keep from getting pinched, because this reads manifold pressure. So if that gets pinched, then the whole injector is not going to work. So yeah, so let me get the computer logged in here. Okay, and here's the software CD that you're going to need. So you'll load this onto your laptop. That'll be in the glove box. And then, so here's the icon. So the program's called R4. So you just click on that, and then this is the window that'll pull up. So first, what you want to do is, you're gonna want to go to new customer. You hit new customer, and then you'll fill in the name, and if there's any notes you want the file to be under, like original 7th injector program from me or something like that, or it's your custom one, or what's actually really handy is just the date, so you can kind of know, okay, well, this is the one that I last tried, so then what we do is we want to connect to the 7th injector module. So first what you do is you select which port your computer is using on the side here. So my computer doesn't have the ports numbered on the side, so I have to just guess. So I just go like COM1, and then I hit connect, and then it'll say error, and I just go through until it finally connects. But I remember this one, I got it hooked to COM3, hit that, and we're connected. So then first thing you can do here is you can go to options and go to output settings, and then you'll see this output B mode. So this is kind of important, and a lot of guys that have 7th injector kits don't know about this feature, and it kind of, if you don't know about it, it can kind of mess you up. So overpressure, so you can set it to different PSI settings, and so right now I have it set to right here, 1 PSI. So what that means is that when the 7th injector module reads 1 PSI of boost, it forces the engine in open loop. So when the engine is in open loop, then you can run at whatever air-fuel ratio you want. So when it comes to forced induction and you're running boost, typically you want to go richer than 14.7:1, which is called stoichiometric, is what they call. That's what the typical naturally aspirated, non-turbocharged or non-supercharged engine runs at is 14.7:1. But when you got boost, you want to run richer. You want to run more like probably 11.5:1 richer, and you can read that on the air-fuel ratio gauge. Right now the vehicle's off, so, and this gauge, its limits are 9 is the richest it'll read, and then 19 is the leanest it'll read. So when you're driving, if you're coasting down a hill or something and you don't have your foot on the accelerator, usually the ECU will cut the injectors and you'll see it actually go to 19:1. Sometimes it'll bounce around at idle all over the place. That's not a big deal. But when you're under load and in boost, you want to see, ideally you want to see around 12.5:1. If you're richer, that's okay. If you're a little bit leaner, it'll probably be fine. If you're like 12.5:1, it'll probably be okay, but more than likely will be okay. And but you want to be more like 12 or 11.5:1 or even richer. And if you're mixing in meth with that, you can be a little bit richer. Even so, you can be like more like 10.5:1. And if you're richer than that, if you're dipping down into like 9.5:1 or whatever, that's all safe. It's just you're losing power. Your maximum power is gonna be that you're going to see horsepower wise is if your air fuel ratio under boost is around 11.5 or 11.8:1, right in that area. But you're using it as a daily driver, so I wouldn't stress out too much about that. It's not like you're racing it. But yeah, so anyways, if you're going to adjust this, you could go for, like, you could set it to 2 or 3 or even 4 PSI. Save a little bit of gas mileage, get your gas mileage a little bit better, because sometimes on the highway when it's a little bit of a hill, you'll sometimes be running at 2 or 3 pounds of boost for a long time, and you just want to make sure that the engine's not pinging, because it's running too lean. So pinging is it sounds like you got a rock inside a soda can and you're shaking it. So if you hear that, you want to back off, and then you want to either set this to lower PS, you want to set this to, if you're up to like 4 or 5 and you hear some pinging, then you want to set this to a lower setting. I have it set to 1 psi, so you're for sure not going to hear any pinging, but it's not best for gas mileage. So if you're doing a lot of highway driving, you may want to set this a little higher to like 2 or 3 or 4, or I don't know about 5, but that'll keep it. So what that'll do is it'll keep it in closed loop until you hit 2 or 3 or 4 psi, and you'll get better gas mileage on the highway from that. So okay, so there's that. And so what we'll do is close that. And the thing is with this is, once you change something on this, it saves it automatically. Any changes you make, it saves it. So if you have a file you want to save and not be changed, then save it under a separate name, and then open a new file and just kind of copy and paste things from. You may have to, what you might be a good idea is to open another one of these windows, a second one, and you can cut and paste one to the other file, So then what we do here is we go to Maps. Come on. What's going on here? That's weird. This computer is, I loaded Windows 10 on it, and it's not liked it. Okay, I just reloaded the program, so let me open that old file I had loaded up here. I think it was this one. Okay, yeah, I think that was it. Alright, and we have to connect to the ECU. Oops. Number 3. Connect. Okay, let's go to Maps. Fuel Maps. And so what we have here is, up top is Map A. So this is for timing. So on the side is your RPM, and up top is your pressure. So if you'll see here, we have like 3 psi, 4 psi, and then it goes down to vacuum. So we don't really need to make any changes in this area because this is all pre-boost. So in the 7th injector, we don't need it working. Just use the stock ECU for stock ECU handles that. So my computer is really screwing up here. It's just not happy for some reason. Okay, well, all right, so up top here, these two boxes, one, it actually, when you hover over it, my computer isn't somewhat freezing up, it'll say read from ECU, and then it'll say write to ECU, and then it'll say write from ECU. So basically, it'll allow you to download whatever program you have on here to your computer. You can do that, or you can download a computer or your program that you've made here and load it to there. Out of those two, okay. And so then Map A is for timing. So you see over here at 1.5 psi right there, and that's at 1500 RPM. I'm cutting 1.3 degrees of timing. So that's just to keep it from pinging. So and then so the vehicle's running right now, so it's actually reading live from this map here. So this blue highlight, that's where it's running at right now. So if I hit the gas, you see it kind of moves there. So yeah, so when you're running the vehicle down the road, you can actually monitor it on the laptop. So then we can go to map B, if it'll let me, and my computer's not letting me. Hang on, let me see if I can get to do it. Okay, here's map B. So map B is, this is the fuel. So this is the fuel that the 7th injector is adding. So you can change these numbers. You know, the higher the number, the more fuel you're adding. Okay, so when you're driving it, if you're noticing that the air-fuel ratio is lean while you're driving it, kind of take a mental note of what RPM you are on the tachometer. Okay, and what boost pressure you're at on the boost gauge. So kind of remember that, and then in the area here in the fuel map, if it's too lean, you richen it up. You can select a whole section like this. You can click on it and hold it down and drag. See? And you can select a whole section, and then what you can do is up here you can hit fill selected, and you can enter like 10, and all of those will change to the number 10, which would be a huge amount of an increase in fuel. Or you can go to change by, and you can add a percentage. So say you just want to increase all those numbers by 20%, then you add 20. Or if it's running too rich, you can hit -20, enter in -20, and it'll subtract 20%. And so you just go through and make those changes, you know, to this if you need to throughout here. And then when you've made the changes, then let's see what's going on. I think it might be because my battery's almost dead on this laptop. Once you've made the changes, then you just go up to the top and you hit right to ECU, which I can't remember which one this is. I think it's, if this thing wasn't freezing up, it would pop up and tell me. You hit right to ECU. With the engine has to be off and key on. Don't do it while it's running. So you hit right to ECU, and it'll write it to there and make its changes. So that's how you can do that. So one other note is, with the 7th injector, I installed a bigger fuel pump. It's a Walbro fuel pump, and it's a little bit noisier than the stock pumps. You'll kind of hear it whining outside the vehicle a little bit. That's normal. And the other issue I'm having is, so this module's new. This was like 400 and something bucks, and so that's good. The only thing is on my fuel map, and the higher pressures, the higher RPMs and the higher pressures of boost, I'm actually maxing out the fuel. This isn't the program I'm running right now in this vehicle, because this fuel number, you can go up to 25, and I have them actually in the higher amounts of boost at 25, and it's still running lean. So I'm running, so the meth is actually picking up the 7 injector slack. So what I'm thinking is that the injector is probably wearing out, and it just isn't adding too much fuel. I think it's just weak from age. So I'm actually emailing Underdog Racing right now, and I'm going to get a new injector coming. So in fact, I might even just look into getting me the upgraded bigger injector, and then I won't even have to worry. There's could be even less chance of running too lean. So right now it's running pretty good with the water meth kind of taking up the 7 injector slack. But I'm gonna go ahead and order another injector, and I'll have it sent to your address. And the way you replace it is, I'll show you here. So here's the supercharger. There's the battery. So on this side by the brakes here. So that's the 7th injector right there. Okay. So you just take off these two stainless Allen screws. All right. And then the whole thing will kind of pull out, and you can pick it up. And then you have to unplug the wire. You unplug this. I think you just push down on this clip here, and then it unplugs. And then you have to undo the fuel hose, and then you have the injector all by itself. And this whole little injector assembly, there's two Allen screws on the back, very back, and that'll separate it, and you can remove the injector from the assembly, and you'll just put the new injector in, put these little Allens back in, and then put the main housing back in with these stainless Allens. And just be careful not to cross thread it, because the aluminum, is easy to cross thread. So go in by hand, with a couple threads before you torque on it with a ratchet. If I'm going with a bigger injector, then the programming that I have for the fuel in map B is going to be off. So you're going to have to kind of redo that. But like I said, hopefully I'm not stressing you out as far as making it sound difficult. It's really not. You should be able to get it done yourself. I don't think you'll have to take it to a shop, as long as you have a laptop. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that's what the problem is. Because this is an old 7th injector kit, and this 7th injector has been around the block. I bought it used, but there's really, the fuel pump's new, the module is new, so I think it's just that this injector is dying. So I'll get the even bigger injector, and you just have to throw that in, and should be good. So, and Underdog Racing, I've been emailing them. They've been real helpful so far with answering my questions and getting me an injector. So if you have any questions, let me know. And that's pretty much it on the 7th injector. And with the bigger injector, then you should be able to program it so that you don't have to use the water meth kit. But like I said, I got 10 gallons of methanol in the cargo area. And take that out once you get the vehicle. You don't want to be driving around with that, because that's like having a couple gallons of fuel in the back. You don't want to be driving around. It's strapped down though, so and when you open it, be careful. Wear some wear some safety glasses, and you do not want to get that stuff in your eyes. It's like getting gasoline in your eyes, would be nasty. So all right, thanks a lot, Tom. Let me know if you have any questions.